Hey gang, Grimracer here. Let's take a minute to talk a little bit about Sbus and Sbus 2 servos for marine use. There are things you can do in the programming to take advantage of these servos. One of the things that I find, at least in my driving, is I don't like those super fast servos for marine use, especially in tunnel boat racing. So there are things we can do with Sbus and Sbus 2 to adjust that. So the real advantage to really high speed servos is if you have digital stabilization or some kind of gyro. That's when an ultra high fast servo takes advantage of that speed, is during stabilization. So we don't have that with our boats. So I like to take it back to the basics. We get these servos that are extremely high speed. Let's tone those back a little bit for marine use and get them back to where, well, we don't upset the boat when we're manipulating the steering. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about that. Alright gang, now that we got through that introduction, we'll go ahead and show you how to adjust your Sbus servos using a 7px. There's actually 3 different ways to adjust your Sbus servos, 2 of them with the 7px or any of the programmable transmitters that are available, or using your laptop and a CIU2 or a CIU3 USB attachment and the S-Link software that Futaba offers. So if you're racing a fast system, you can still take advantage of Sbus servos and their adjustability. You just can't do it through the transmitter, but you can still do it. So anyway, let me open this case for a second. So I've got 2 different systems here. I've got 2 different that I have here. Let's go ahead and fire up the 7px. And then let's turn on the receiver. So you can see this particular servo that I'm using is actually a BLS 571 SV. I like it. It's only 1 inch tall. It's a small servo, standard case dimensions in the XY, but the Z, the height of this thing, it's literally 1 inch tall. You can actually stand it up in a tub like I have on mine, lay it on its side, doesn't take up much room. About 130 inch-ounces of torque. I really like this servo, so it really works well in a 20 hydro like this. Anyway, so we've got the 7px fired up. We've got our radio fired up for throttle and mixture. I'm using for throttle and mixture, I'm using an S3270 SVI. Boy, that's hard to see down there. Anyway, and they're really fast too. That servo is actually, I think, 0.11 or 0.12. I guess it's 0.11 at 7 volts, 7.4 volts, and 0.12 at 6 volts. I'm using 6.6 volts, so we're a little bit in the middle there. Anyway, so here's our speed again. And in model boating, again, I don't like that kind of speed for me personally. I'd like to slow that down. And you can see our throttle is also pretty aggressive here. And again, I don't probably think I need to open the throttle barrel that quick. I mean, okay. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and program, we'll just do the steering servo so you can see what that's like. Anyway, we can do that wirelessly through the 7px. One of the reasons I like this radio, we can do that wirelessly through the 7px, just through the radio system, or we can use an extension, servo extension like this, plug it into the side of the 7px right here, and plug it into the servo and do it that way. So you don't really have to be transmitting this or using the transceiver to do this anyway. And again, that third option is to use a laptop, a CIU2 or CIU3, and the S-Link software. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and do this. Let's go to the menu. The manual, go to page 135 of your manual. It talks about Sbus servos. That's really what you're after. This will give you plenty of information on how to do this, but I'll just summarize here. I did find one typo error in the manual here. It talks about using the telemetry menu to get to this next step, but it actually takes the accessory menu. So here we are in that menu. It says to use the telemetry. We know that's wrong. I found that out. I'm going to go to accessory, and there you're going to find the Sbus servo. Okay, let's go ahead and fire that up. So there's our menu for programming the Sbus servo. Now we can either plug in our extension at this point into the servo, or we can do this wirelessly, which we're doing now. I'm going to go ahead and read this. Here's our warning saying, if you're doing this wirelessly, don't have the motor running, the boat shouldn't be on the water, you would not want an electric boat with the motor plugged in. I mean, you make sure that you don't have a problem. They're just talking about that. I'm going to close that. Here's our selection of either using the communications port, and that would use the wire, or doing it wirelessly. You can see channel 1 and channel 2. Okay, let's go to channel 1. It read that channel. Here you can see there's my servo, BLS 571 SV. Okay, there's an ID to the servo, ID 40-14918. Okay, and here's the factory default settings. All right, for deadband, smoother, stretcher, boost, yada yada. There's a second page. Let's go to that. And here's where I'm interested in what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the soft start and the speed. Those are the two that I'm interested in. So let's go ahead and let's adjust the speed first. Click speed, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, it'll go all the way to 12 seconds. I don't know why, for 60 degrees. Anyway, let's move that down to a half second. There it is. So 0.5 seconds for 60 degrees. Basically half the movement of the wheel. So let's go ahead and let's write that. Now let's go back and check the servo speed. Now this is, remember, this is a half second. I wouldn't race at this, at least I don't think I would. I've never tested anything this slow, but let's go ahead and do it. Another thing worth noting, this doesn't take any of the torque away from the servo. It still runs the same way. So here we go, 60 degrees. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's adjust the soft start. I like the soft start feature. This is one of my favorites. So especially with it being an outboard racer, the second that you turn the radio system on, the servo, if the motor's kicked over, snaps it back to center. You can soften that. I'm going to actually move that to 3 seconds. Let's go ahead and do that. So soft start, and then we'll go ahead and adjust that. There it is, 3 seconds. We're going to write that. Okay, so let's show you what that's like. I'm going to go ahead and turn the receiver off. I'm actually going to just move the servo all the way over. And the transmitter is still on. Let's watch the flag. I'm going to turn it on in 1, 2, 3. So it moves the servo back over nice and easy when you first fire the system up. If you happen to touch the wheel or the throttle during that point, it goes right back into full, the speed that you've selected. So you don't have to worry about that. But at that point, during startup, it gives you a nice, slow, easy move over, fire up, so that you recenter the servos. It's nice to have on airplanes too, so you don't snap that big elevator or rudder into position when you first turn the system on. You can adjust that time that it takes to do that with using an Sbus servo. So anyway, Sbus 1 or Sbus 2. So anyway, that's really it in a nutshell. I like to run my servo speed at around 0.2 to 0.28, somewhere in there. I find faster servos, they'll upset the handling of the boat, especially on tunnel boats. But I've seen it in hydroplanes and sport hydros as well. It's just nice to be able to have nice, smooth management of that steering servo. Anyway, so that's the gist of it. If you've got any questions, feel free to comment below, and We'll continue to do this and try to provide content for this and help you guys with your marine applications, just giving you options on this type of radio system, these setups, and the advantages to them. So anyway, see you at the pond. Bye.